excited to welcome Keira Andrews to the show. After writing for years, and yet never really finding the right inspiration, Keira discovered her voice in gay romance, which has become her passion. She writes contemporary, historical, paranormal, and fantasy fiction, and although she loves delicious angst along the way, Keira firmly believes in happy endings. Her latest book, Test of Valor, was released on April 26th. Welcome, Keira.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, we're very happy to have you because we've been kind of binging on your books, and Will went crazy over Christmas with some of them, and it's great to have you.
Yeah. Thank you.
So tell us all about this new book that's just out, Test of Valor.
So this is the sequel to Valor on the Move, which is one of my best-selling books that came out in 2015. And I'd always planned on writing a follow-up because the characters don't really get together until... So let me back up, sorry. It's about the president's closeted son and an older, sexy Secret Service agent who is assigned to protect him. And sparks fly, and obviously they're breaking the rules by falling in love. So this is the follow-up. This is their new life together now that the White House is behind them.
Nice. What was the inspiration for it?
Well, as I said, there is a happy ending in the first book, because I always have a happy ending. But they don't get together until fairly late in the story. So I felt like there was more to explore with what their life would be like once they settle into a relationship together, once the first excitement and bloom of falling in love settles into just a normal life together. And they still have obstacles. Obviously, chief among those obstacles are Rafa's parents, the former president and first lady, who are coming to visit in the sequel. So it takes place about 5-6 months in the future after the end of the first book. And Rafa's parents are coming to visit. They're not too happy that their baby son has run away with his Secret Service agent to the other side of the world. I probably wouldn't be super happy about it either, to be honest. So I can relate to that. It's just kind of the challenges in Shane and Rafa's new relationship. They're very much in love and very much together. But every new relationship, as you settle into it, you have to kind of find your way and deal with his crazy family.
Yeah, the stress of unhappy parents is never a good thing.
Yes, and his mother in particular is a bit of a handful. So, yeah.
What kind of research did you do around Secret Service and how it might work if they actually ended up falling in love with who they're protecting?
I did a lot of research about the Secret Service. It's actually super interesting. I read a few books by former agents and learned, which Chelsea Clinton is the favorite presidential child. She was everyone's favorite. The Bush twins were the least favorite because they were very rebellious. Chelsea was not rebellious at all. Followed all the rules. But yeah, I mean, if you fell in love with a protectee, that would be very, very frowned upon. You would probably lose your job. So.
Not just reassigned, but lose your job.
Probably. Yeah, it's a big problem. And that, of course, causes a lot of the conflict in the first book because Shane is really torn between the job. He loves his job. And I mean, he loves his job, although he's been doing it for a long time. And Rafa comes along and kind of opens his eyes to what he's been missing out on in life. So.
And the May-December aspect sounds fun there, too.
Yeah, I enjoy a May-December romance a lot. So, there's a 17-year age difference between them, so quite substantial. And so that causes challenges as well, especially in Test of Valor. Shane is overprotective of Rafa, and it's hard for him to kind of shake that. And Rafa wants to be seen as, and not that Shane doesn't see him as a grown man and respect him, but it's hard for him to kind of let his protective instincts simmer down a bit.
It's understandable. Now, you run across many genres, as we
Yes.
noted in the intro. What keeps you genre hopping?
I've always had eclectic taste in reading and music and movies and TV. So I love that I can write a contemporary about two normal dudes, and who fall in love, and write about a werewolf in the zombie apocalypse. And I just love exploring new worlds, and just, yeah, the sky's the limit. I think I would get bored if I only wrote, contemporary, or only wrote historical, or whichever genre. I just like keeping things open.
Is there a particular genre that you've written that seems to hold your fans' interest?
It's a good question. I mean, generally speaking, contemporary is the most popular genre in gay romance.
Mm-hmm.
For example, when I wrote Kidnapped by the Pirate, I honestly didn't expect it to do very well because it was a historical, and historicals are hit and miss as far as finding an audience goes. And I wrote it, the story just ate my brain, and there was no way, I just couldn't not write it. I was actually working on the Test of Valor sequel last summer, and then pirates came along, and I couldn't resist them. And some stories just come along, and they just kind of pour out of your head, and you can't fight the tide, kind of, which is the name of another one of my book, actually. That was unintentional. So I really didn't know what to expect for Kidnapped by the Pirate. I didn't have super high expectations, and it blew my expectations out of the water. It's been wonderful that people have really responded to that book. I don't know if I answered your
And you
question.
could tell reading it that it looks like you had a lot of fun writing it. It just
Yeah.
has this feel of big time adventure with a great romance thrown in on the side, and you could just tell that it looks like it just went right off our head, right onto the page, and just became this really awesome thing.
Yeah, thank you.
Not
It
to
did.
mention the killer cover.
Oh yes, Dara Albert does my covers, and I asked her to capture that bodice ripper vibe without being too cheesy, and I feel like she really nailed it. I love that cover.
Mhm.
I love that cover. It
It's
makes me
pretty amazing. The second I saw it online, I was like, boop, one click. Because I'm probably one of those people you were thinking about. Because, yeah, historical has never been precisely my thing. I've only, recently sort of dipped my toe into historical waters. But, yeah, amazing book. Now, you've been doing this for a while. You've got a pretty extensive backlist and a whole lot of fans. Can you take us back a little bit to maybe the very beginning and what inspired you to put pen to paper on your first romance?
Absolutely. I was writing fan fiction mostly in the early 2000s,
Mm-hmm.
and I was writing a mix of gay fan fiction and also some MF fan fiction, Veronica and Logan from Veronica Mars, one of my favorites. So, I've written both male and male-female. And when it came time, when I decided to write an original novel, which was Love Match, my first book, which is about professional tennis players who fall in love. I was watching Wimbledon that summer 2005, and I thought, what would happen if two
Inspirations everywhere.
Yeah, inspirations everywhere. All these men in their shorts, and I thought, and it just, and at the time, actually, still no male tennis players have really come out. It's still a very closeted. Statistically speaking, there must be gay male tennis players, but it's really none of them have come out. Especially, certainly not while playing, especially at the top of the game. So there's always been rumors about certain players. Who knows what's true? But yeah, I just thought, what would happen if, you know, a top player was gay and ended up coming out. And then so I just found more inspiration, I think, because in MF romance, which I grew up reading and loving, there's so much of it. And I felt like there were so many gay stories that are untold, and felt like there was just so much potential in that genre. When I started, it was very small. Like, It's a Love Match was published in 2006. And before that, before the early to mid 2000s, really fanfic was where you got gay romance. Gay fiction has obviously always been around, but there's often not happy endings. And, it's been a lot of tragedy. And so I wanted to write a book about gay characters where there is a big old happy ending. And it just felt like there were so many stories to explore.
Out of curiosity, in your fanfic, who are your MM pairings of choice?
Oh, yeah, Brian and Justin from Queer as Folk were probably, I wrote a lot of Brian and Justin. I've also written, I don't know if you know Band of Brothers. It was the World War II miniseries. I've written Winters Nixon fanfic for that miniseries, and trying to think of what else. Oh, As the World Turns, which was a soap opera. Luke and Reed were characters who were actually gay characters on the show. And I was obsessed. There was a period there in 2010 where, big obsession.
And you've been in it since 2006. How do you think things have changed in the genre over the last dozen years now?
Yeah. Oh gosh, that is crazy when you say that it's been a dozen years. I was just thinking, oh yeah, it's been like 5 years. No, it's 2018. I mean, the genre obviously has exploded and become so much bigger, which I think is wonderful because it's become more mainstream. When I started, definitely people didn't even know what ebooks were. You know, my friends and family would be like, "What is it? It's an ebook? What? Oh, do I print it out on paper?" Like they didn't. Ebooks were so new. No one had Kindles, or Kindles and Kobos didn't exist. It was a few years after that Kobo was the first e-reader that came along. So it was just very different in that regard as well. But yeah, the gay romance genre has just blossomed, and now major publishers are doing gay romance, which, Avon and Berkeley and Kensington, which I think is great.
How would you say that your writing has evolved in that time?
I think it's definitely gotten a lot better. I cringe when I go back, and I shouldn't say that, but I think for everyone, you're your own worst critic, right? So it's when I go back and look at my earlier work, I'm like, oh, like, why did I do that? I should have done this. But I think I try to learn something with every book, and just I do read reviews. I know some people say never read reviews, but I do read reviews because I want to learn and grow and get that constructive criticism. So hopefully it's getting better with every book.
What's your overall process? And does your process change depending on the genre you're actually writing in?
It doesn't really change depending on the genre. I am kind of a mix of a pantser and a plotter. I will plot, I'll have the major beats of the story worked out. But I let the characters kind of breathe and come to life and tell me what their story is going to be to flesh it out, and sometimes the major the plot points will also change. I'll think, I'm going to have, this will happen in the third act, and then the characters will will say, no, I don't think so. So yeah, I have the basic idea, and then I just let the characters come to life and fill out the rest. So I don't plot out everything scene by scene. I don't find that works for me. It's too, I just need the kind of freedom to see where it goes.
Mm-hmm. Is there a genre you haven't written in yet that you want to? I mean, you already cut across so many, but...
Yes, actually, sci-fi. I am a big sci-fi fan. So I would love to do a gay romance, in space. So that is definitely on my to-do list, to do a sci-fi space romance.
That'll be cool. I look forward to that.
Now, in each of your books, do you think there's a certain quality or a certain something that defines what a Keira Andrews book is?
Well, I always have a happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
There's always sex in my books. Hopefully hot. I try to make it hot. Yeah, I think just having that mix, because as a reader, that's what I like to read, is a mix of compelling characters, compelling plot, and then some hot sex. I like a balance of those three things. So hopefully that's what I try and bring to my own books.
Mm-hmm. And what do you read? Like, what's on your bedside table right now?
Oh, what is on my bedside table right now?
Or in your Kindle, depending.
Yeah, it is on my Kindle. I recently read A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. I actually reread it recently. I read it for the first time at Christmas and just loved it so much. So that I do read YA as well as romance, and I read all genres. I don't only just read So yeah, I just reread that one, and there's so many books coming out right now that I need to. And I do some editing as well for Lita Blake,
Mm-hmm.
and I just got her sequel to Slow Heat in my inbox. So that is what I'm going to be reading for the next couple of weeks as I work on those edits. I'm excited.
Oh, a sequel to Slow Heat, I hear.
Yeah.
People will be very glad to hear that.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. I am super excited. It's going to be about Zan, the character of Zan, who a lot of people really liked from the first book. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. So yeah, I read, I'm preg, I read everything.
Any particular author influences who have influenced you since you began this journey?
I mean, there's so many authors I love, and I just always try. I'm speaking of Mackenzie Lee, in The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, that first opening scene of the book is the two characters are really hungover, and I was just so charmed and hooked into those characters from the first paragraph. And so whenever I read, I guess I get inspired to improve my own writing and to think, I need to do, not to copy, but, to think, how can I hook readers into these characters right from the first paragraph? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so I can't think of any other specific names, but just, everyone.
Everyone who does something awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that narrows it right down for you.
So what do we have to look forward to after Test of Valor? What's next?
Well, I have been working on a Christmas book, actually. I love Christmas. I love Christmas. I'm such a Christmas person, and I love Christmas romances. So I'm trying to get one done early this year and have it, in the can and ready to go. And then I'm going to be working on the third book in the Kick at the Darkness series. So that's the werewolf in the zombie apocalypse. So that'll be the third book for Parker and Adam. And I'm going to be working on that this summer.
Nice. Do we get to have more pirates? I would love more pirates. I just have to throw that out there.
Yeah, I would love to do more pirates too. It's definitely, I have kind of a list right now of other books I need to work on first, but I definitely do want to write another pirate book at some point. Yeah.
Cool. At least it's on the list somewhere.
Yeah. I always have way more ideas than I have time to actually write, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes people will say, "Oh, how do you keep coming up with ideas?" And I'm like, "Oh gosh, that's never a problem. I have too many that, you know, I wish I had more hours in the day or some magic spell that I could pull it out of my head, you know."
Now, you've got a giveaway for our listeners,
Yes.
which is awesome. What do you have for them?
Well, I am going to give away 3 copies of Valor on the Move, which is the first book in the Valor series. So, yeah, 3 ebook copies of that book.
Fantastic. We'll put a raffle copter on the show notes page so people can go get some entries, and hopefully those land in the hands of some listeners who don't have that one and are eager to then move on to Test of Valor.
Yeah, that would be great.
So what's the best way to keep up with you online so everybody can keep up with what you're doing?
I'm pretty active on Facebook and Instagram. If you go to my website, it's KeiraAndrews.com. There's links to all my social media, and I update my website as well. I don't blog or anything very often over there. I just find it's amazing how much time it can take to write a blog, you know, and I try and focus my writing time on writing the books.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Facebook and Instagram is where I'm most active, and I have a Facebook reader group and that people can join. So yeah.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us and talking to us about Test of Valor.
Thank you. It was great to be here. I really appreciate it.